Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something that's caused a bit of a stir in PC building circles, the Thermal Grizzly CPU Contact Frame. It's basically a $40 aluminum bracket for Intel's LGA 1700 socket. So our mission, is this thing real engineering or just an expensive placebo?
It's fascinating because it claims to fix a problem. Intel says, well, isn't really a problem. We're talking about the LGA 1700 socket that's for 12th, 13th, and now 14th gen Intel CPUs.
Right.
The standard way it mounts can apparently put uneven pressure right on the CPU. It can literally bend the integrated heat spreader, the IHS, into a slight U-shape, concave.
Wait, so you're saying these expensive CPUs are getting physically bent just by the socket itself? And Intel's official line is what? It's within spec?
Exactly. They say it's fine, within tolerance, but yeah, it does seem to bend.
But hang on, how do we know it's the socket and not just, these massive coolers people strap on top these days? Some of those things are huge.
That's a fair question, but the evidence points strongly towards the socket's clamping mechanism. And that's where this frame comes in. It was designed by Roman Dereyer Hartung. He's a mechatronics engineer, also a professional overclocker.
Okay, so an expert in the field.
Definitely. His frame replaces the standard Intel bracket. Instead of pressure focused in the middle, it applies it evenly around the edges. The idea is to force that heat spreader flat again.
Which means better contact with the cooler.
Precisely. Better contact, better heat transfer.
Okay, let's get into the results then. Because the temperature drops people report seem pretty impressive sometimes. We're seeing figures between 4 and 12 degrees Celsius lower.
Yeah, those numbers are definitely eye-catching.
But 4 to 12 degrees, that's a huge range. What explains that inconsistency? Why wouldn't everyone see, say, 10 degrees?
Well, that range itself is a big clue. It strongly suggests the benefit really hinges on how much your specific CPU was bending in the first place.
Ah.
If your chip was already pretty flat, maybe you only see a small improvement, like 4 degrees. If it was significantly warped, you might get that full 12-degree drop.
Makes sense.
And places like Igor's lab found really consistent drops around 10 degrees, but specifically on heavily overclocked chips, the ones pumping at the most heat where contact is absolutely critical.
And the design itself has changed too, hasn't it? There was a V1, now there's a V2. What's the story there? I heard the first one was a bit tricky.
Oh, tricky is putting it mildly. The V1, it was very precisely engineered, maybe too precisely for the average builder. You needed a torque wrench.
Seriously. A torque wrench for a CPU bracket.
Yes, and a specific one. You had to tighten the screws to exactly 0.3 to 0.6 Newton meters. It was incredibly sensitive. Too tight, too loose, and you basically lost the benefit. Most people just don't have that tool, let alone a calibrated one.
Right. That sounds like a nightmare for a typical home build.
It really was. So the V2 design fixed that. They redesigned the internal shape so the pressure is applied correctly, pretty much regardless of how tight you make the screws, within reason, obviously. No more torque wrench needed.
That's a huge improvement for usability then. Makes it much more accessible.
Definitely. But, and this is the really interesting part, even with the improved V2 design, the testing data out there is still, well, all over the place.
How so?
Tom's Hardware did a great piece on this. They tested 2 identical CPUs, same model, on 2 different but also identical motherboards.
Okay.
On one setup, they saw huge temperature improvements with the frame. On the other, identical setup. 0 difference. Absolutely nothing.
Wow. So same hardware, completely different results. That really drives home the point, doesn't
It
it?
absolutely does. The engineering of the frame is solid. It works. It flattens the CPU.
Yeah.
But only if your motherboard and socket combination actually has that bending problem to begin with.
So you could spend the money and get literally no benefit if your specific components just happen to fit together perfectly fine from the factory.
Exactly. You might be buying a solution for a problem you don't have.
Which brings us neatly to the cost. The Thermal Grizzly frame, the German-engineered one with the tight tolerances, is around $40, give or take.
Yep, made in Berlin, known for precision.
But then you see these alternatives, like from Thermalright, for instance. They look almost identical, and they cost, what, $5 or $6?
Around that, yeah. Maybe closer to $8 sometimes, but still way cheaper.
So what's the difference? Are you just paying for the brand name with Thermal Grizzly, or is there more to it?
Well, you're paying for that extreme precision and potentially tighter quality control. The Thermal Grizzly frame likely has much smaller manufacturing tolerances, the budget ones. They work, they do the job, flatten the IHS probably 95% as well.
Uh-huh.
But maybe the tolerances are a bit wider. For most users, that $5–8 bracket is probably perfectly fine. If you're pushing for a world record overclocks where every tenth of a degree matters, maybe you spring for the German precision.
Right. So the takeaway for you, the listener, seems pretty clear then. This frame can be beneficial, but it entirely depends.
It depends entirely on whether your specific system, your motherboard and CPU combo, actually suffers from this IHS bending issue. If your cooler is already making good, even contact, this frame won't do anything for you.
Good point. And there's a warranty consideration too, isn't there? Technically.
Yeah, technically, replacing Intel's stock mechanism with this aftermarket frame voids your CPU warranty.
Oof.
However, for Intel to actually deny a warranty claim, they'd need to prove the frame caused the damage, which is, let's be honest, incredibly unlikely and hard to demonstrate. But the risk, technically, is there.
Okay, so it's a calculated risk. This frame seems like a genuinely clever fix for a real documented issue, even if Intel doesn't quite admit it.
It does.
But it leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? If the performance and cooling of these high-end systems can hinge so much on whether a $40 accessory corrects a manufacturing variance, what does that suggest about the quality control of some mass-market PC components?
It definitely raises questions. It makes you think about where the tolerances are tight and where they're, well, maybe just good enough for mass production. Something to keep in mind next time you're planning a build or upgrade.